Hello student. Today we are going to learn new topic 1.5 Mrs. Addis. Sheila K. Smith was an English novelist and poet. Many of her novels were set in the borderlands of Sussex and Kent in the English regional tradition. Her book, The End of the House of Allard, becomes a bestseller. The story is about a peasant woman. Peasant woman means happy woman who finds a desperate young man at her doorstep pleading offer to give him protection from the police. Pleading means to request. He had been poaching on the nearby estate and in panic had killed one of the gamekeepers. In this paragraph, now we will see introductions on page number 44. Mrs. Addis was written by Sheila K. Smith. There is introductions of the writer. She was an English novelist and poet. She was very famous during her days. Her stories were related with Sussex and Kent's area, which is area of England. She was born in that area. She was writing about that in her book. The story was very famous and popular among her days. The story is about pleasant woman who find desperate young man at her doorstep. Lady warn her give him to protection from the police. Now here we will see first paragraph. Mrs. Addis. In northeast Sussex, a great tongue of lands runs into Kent. It is a land of wood. The old hammer wood of Sussex, iron industries, and among the woods gleams the ponds. Hammer ponds. Sussex. Sussex means a country in the south of England. Tongue of land means a long stretch of land branching out from the main road. Hammerwood. Hammerwood means forest. And hammer ponds means small ponds. Next line. Owing to the thickness of the woods, the road that passes Mrs. Addis' cottage is a dark long before the field behind. That night there was no twilight and no moon, only a few pricks of fire in the black sky above the tree. But what the darkness hid, the silence revealed in the absolute stillness of the night, windless and clear, every sound was distinct, intensified. The distant bark of a dog at Delmondon sounded close at hand. Delmondon means name of a village. Delmondon sounded close at hand, and the man who walked on the road could hear the echo of his own footsteps following him like a nail. In this paragraph, Sussex. Sussex is a country in the south of England. Sussex is a small part. Hammerwood is the forest. It is described as hammer because in the past iron used to be made using timber and water. This is a good atmosphere. The road that reaches to Mrs. Addis' cottage is a dark road and long road. It is inside the forest. When the story begins, it was night time, no twilight and no moon. There was no moon. It is black sky above the tree, but everywhere there was total silence atmosphere. Total silence was there. The sound was total silent, and so every sound could be heard from long distance. Also, one dog started barking if was play far away from Mrs. Addis' cottage. Everybody can listen small sound. One man was walking on the road. He could hear the echo of his own footsteps. Echo means sound. He felt like a nail. Nail means ashubh. Next paragraph. Every now and then he made an effort to go more quietly, but the roadside was a mass of thorn, and their crackling and rustling were nearly as loud as the thud of his feet on the road. Besides, they made him go slowly, and he had no time for that. In this paragraph, he was trying his best to go quietly, to make no noise. Still, it was area of the forest. On the roadside, there were thorns, there were some dry leaves, there were shrubs, and because all these things that rustling and crackling, all that was making a lot of noise. He was unable to go fast. Next paragraph. When he came to Mrs. Addis' cottage, he paused a moment. Only a small patch of grass lay between it and the road, and he looked in at the lighted, uncurtained window. He could see Mrs. Addis stooping over the fire. Stooping means bend, taking some pot or kettle of it. He hesitated and seemed to wonder. He was a big, heavy working man, not successful judging by the poverty of his appearance. For a moment he made as if he would open the window, then he changed his mind and went to the door instead. In this paragraph, he came means Crouch came to Mrs. Addis' cottage. Crouch stopped for a moment. He saw that there was only a small patch of grass which was laid between the cottage and a road. Now he looked in on curtained window. There was somebody in the house. The house was lighted, and he could see through the window because it was uncurtained. He was on the road. He was watching towards window. She was doing something. She was working in the kitchen. Means Mrs. Addis was working in the kitchen. Mrs. Addis was thinking, and Crouch was a big heavy. Crouch was a big heavy working man and a not successful person. He was not successful at all, and he was poor man. Suddenly, for a moment, he thought that It is better to open the window and enter from the window to the house. But suddenly, Crow changed his decision and he decided that he would go through the door. Next paragraph. He did not knock but walked straight in. The woman at the fire turned quickly around. What you, Peter Crouch, she said. I didn't hear you know. I didn't knock, ma'am. I didn't want anybody to hear. How's that? I am in trouble. His hands were shaking a little. What have you done? I shot a man, Mrs. Addis. You, yes, I shot him. You killed him. I do not know. For a moment, there was a silence in the small, stuffy kitchen. Then the kettle boiled over, and Mrs. Addis mechanically put it at the side of the fire. In this paragraph, page number 45, he decided that he would enter into the in the cottage. He did not alert that lady. The woman turned quickly. She heard the sound and she asked Crouch. Means she asked him that what you. He says, Miss Crouch says that I am a Peter Crouch. He was in front of Mrs. Addis. She was curious to know about what happened, why he was actually hiding small face, why was he in the cottage. She wanted to know about all these things at that time. He said that he was actually in many problems. She asked him, means Mrs. Addis asked him, why you are fearful. Peter Crouch explained that he told her that he had shot persons, means stranger persons. It was crime. Peter Crouch killed stranger person. Mrs. Addis did not understand what to say and how to react. So there was silence in the small kitchen. The kettle boiled over and Mrs. Addis' kettle put it at the side of the fire. Next paragraph. She was a small, thin woman with a brown, hard face on which the skin had dried in innumerable small hair-like wrinkles. She was probably not more than 42, but life treats some women hard in the agriculture district of Sussex, and Mrs. Addis' life had been harder than most. In this paragraph, Mrs. Addis was small, thin woman. She was not fat and hard faced. She was hard working woman. Her skin had dried. She was facing bad problems. She had to face many problems in her life. Her age was not more than 42. Her life had been harder than most. She looks like a old woman. Her hair was like a wrinkle. She wanted to know that how she can help Peter Crouch. She was not happy to help him. She was actually not feeling comfortable. Next paragraph. What do you want me to do for you, Peter Crouch? She said a little sorely. Let me stay here a bit. Is there nowhere you can put me till they have gone? Who's they? The keepers. Oh, you have had a quarrel with the keepers, have you? Yes, I was down my cinderwood seeing if I could pick up anything, and the keepers found me. There were 4 to 1, so I used my gun. Then I ran for it. They are after me. They can be far off now. Mrs. Addis did not speak for a moment. Crouch looked at her beseechingly. Beseechingly means appealingly. And Cinderwood. Cinderwood means name of woods. In this paragraph, Peter Crouch, he said that when he was in Cinderwood, when he was in that wood, this is the name of that forest, Cinderwood. He was in the cinderwood. He was watching if he could pick up something, but at that time, keeper found him, and keepers were 4, and Peter Crouch was all alone. And so far, his safety they used gun. I had used my gun for my protection. Mrs. Addis did not speak for some time. Peter Crouch was watching if she feels some pity and sympathy. She will help him, and Peter Crouch requested to her that please save me life from keepers. Now we will see next point tomorrow.